The lesson today was written by a friend of mine, Father John O'Halloran. But he and I, when he writes something like this, we will set up a dialogue so that what he writes and then I add to it. There are so many facts between us. What has he started with and what have I added? Where does one end and where does the other begin? So this is a basic political treatise, but it is based in faith. So please don't turn off yet. Stick with me. Many people use abortion as a litmus test regarding voting in every election. But when you elevate a party to the status of religion, you have created an idol. And that's a mortal sin. You have violated the first commandment. No party governs womb to tomb. No one candidate does either. No one party or candidate ever has. As a Catholic, I truly believe that the Pope is the vicar of Christ here on earth. Our current Pope is Francis, and I often quote him, as you know. Francis stated that there are many intrinsic evils in the world, things that are evil just at their core. One is abortion, but on equal par with abortion is racism, bigotry, lying, the death penalty, and the destruction of our shared planet Earth through hoarding of her wealth for your gain. Some years ago, a priest friend of mine directed me to studies that showed when the Democrats are in power, abortions decrease because the support and programs within the community are present to prevent pregnancies, to feed the poor, to house the teenage runaways. Then the first thing to go, literally the first day of a Republican administration, is these same programs are cut, which reduced the very same act that the right claims to want to stop. It makes you wonder, if you want to stop something, why would your first act be to increase it? The increase during a Republican presidency can be as great as 57%. Reagan and Bush Sr. in their first year, or as low as 29%, Nixon. Now, at this very moment, we have the greatest increase in abortions in the history of America. Because when Obama left office, abortions were at their lowest point since Roe v. Wade. The current administration has either cut or completely slashed the funds, such that now more abortions are being performed than ever before in America. Some of these facts I knew, but for some, I was gobsmacked. But then I recalled how the right had a perfect program set up to directly help farmers. It was the food program, which put food producers in contact and direct program with the poor. 1970 to 72, the excess went straight to co-ops to be prepared, to be given to the poor, or into distribution to the food kitchens for the poor. It reduced malnutrition by 77%, 27 malnutrition factors. But some bright bunny in 1972 decided that this cheap program was too much extra work for the farmers. Though none of them had ever said anything, there was no complaint. This GOP aide decided all on his own, and his boss, a still-seated senator from Kentucky, think about it, that they gave the money directly to the farmers and a much smaller amount to the poor. The food budget they set in place in the next session in 1974 is still in place today. Now, has your grocery cost increased at all since 1974? These changes killed the advances on malnutrition, reduced farmer buy-in, and it failed to ever again involve farmers in the program that should be connecting them to their communities and to the greater population. Trump is a con artist. He was pro-choice 7 months before the Republican convention. Not one abortion has been stopped in the US by anything he has done. When dealing with white national extremists, there are not good people on both sides. Racism and bigotry are equal to abortion in evil. They are intrinsic evil, sins against God. These are the very sins against which Jesus fought with his theology of love. Separating children from their parents who are legally seeking asylum under 15 UN resolutions to which the United States was signatory is not in support of any life, regardless of what Trump claims. Reinstating the death penalty is not supporting any life. It increased the violence and costs in prison by more than 50%. His constant lying to the public is an intrinsic evil, and it is evidence, in my mind, of being in league with the devil. In a few weeks, you'll hear my favourite, the Gospel of Matthew 25, 31, 46. Jesus is very direct in how we will judge these people individually and as a nation. These are how I personally gauge a politician. If they violate God's law by using their faith to benefit at all individually through the gain of votes, and then cut all of these programs, they are evil incarnate. That the evangelicals will endorse anyone who comes into their churches, and when every single one in the right-wing candidates who has ever fulfilled who has never ever fulfilled the promise to live a Christian life, and has never fulfilled his promise to support the programs of life. Why do they continue? Because they support evil. Tell me, when did Trump feed the hungry? When did he welcome the stranger, the immigrant? When did he comfort the elderly? When did he visit the sick? I'll play you a recording when he states that he knew how bad COVID was, but he lied. I am an American citizen. I was born in the United States, regardless of what this accent tells you. I don't want my president cozying up to Putin or North Korea. I want NATO to remain strong. I want a president to demand answers about Russian interference and Chinese interference into our elections. Provide actual national leadership to protect our election system. Question Putin regarding reports that he has paid for soldiers to be killed. This isn't some spiritual battle. This is about American democracy. As a Christian, I remain informed. As a citizen, I must be informed before I vote. Now I pray. Then I vote. And I vote to end this 4 years of darkness and nightmare. I hope you will vote the same.